Hey, you guys, sorry about that little mess up. I'm still learning. Welcome to 13th Liberation, Debriefing with MK. And we're back for part two with Minister Kenneth Muhammad. We're talking about finding your peace in the midst of the storm. How you doing today, Minister Muhammad?
I'm fine, sister. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Today has been a positive day. After I spoke to you last night, I said, what I'm gonna do different, because I know you told me you was like, sister, I've been meditating, and how that you just wanted to just move the way the spirit moves you. So I said, let me do a little bit of meditation and make sure that the spirit moves, someone is touched, someone is encouraged, someone is inspired. Because I shared with you yesterday how part one has still had an effect on me, as far as when you spoke about analyzing yourself. And when you analyze yourself, that leads to finding resolution. So I know a lot of you all missed part one. So make sure you go on 13 Liberation, or you go on my personal page or Minister Muhammad's page and look at part one. And I promise you will be inspired too. So I wanted you to be able to just pick up where you left off, talking about finding peace in the midst of the storm. For a lot of you all, Minister Muhammad shared with us some things that he experienced during his time in incarceration, on how he found his peace in the midst of doing a life sentence. So I know you don't want to rehash your whole background, but just give those that probably didn't see part one just a little bit of what was said part one, so you'll be able to pick up on part two for those that need that inspiration, that's been incarcerated, or they have loved ones that's incarcerated as well. So they'll be able to share this story with them. Go ahead, brother.
Well, thank you, sister. And I want to begin by offering and extending the words of peace and paradise to everyone that's listening. We say in every language, Assalamu alaikum, which just means peace be unto you. Sister, I really enjoy speaking with you. The interview and when we talk is always inspirational, because you have that energy, you have the spirit. And, I heard somebody said, I don't know how to define it, but I know it when I see it. And so we see that in you, sister.
Thank
and
you.
so I want to say that the importance of discussions like this. People are talking about criminal justice reform. People are talking this. People are talking that. But
Right.
oftentimes, the people that are discussing it haven't really experienced it.
That's
So
right.
they're coming from the world of academia, or they're reading a few articles, and they have the right spirit. Don't get me wrong, but there's nothing like the experience. And even though being incarcerated and doing time, being locked away from your loved ones is a very difficult thing. But when you're able to make it out of that veritable hell, and then reach back and inspire others, then
That's right.
you're doing God's work. So I think you should be commended on that.
Thank you.
My story is like most people. I don't think no one comes into this world saying, I want to be an inmate. I want to be locked up half of my life. All
That's
of us
right.
have pretty much the same hopes, dreams, aspirations. But oftentimes we find ourselves in circumstances that leads to desperation. And then before you know it, you wake up and you're sitting behind prison bars. I was like that. I grew up in a small town. I wanted to go to school. I wanted to get a degree. I wanted to own my own business. I wanted to be some big shot executive running a Fortune 500 corporation. And I thought I was on my way. But then one day I woke up and I'm sitting in a jail cell. My feet is on the floor that's full of urine and feces.
Wow.
And I wondered to myself, just a few days, it seemed like I was walking across the stage and picking up my bachelor's degree. Now, here I am, locked down, facing the death penalty and receiving a life sentence. And so in my mind, I'm saying, what happened? How could I have fallen so far so fast? I read a book called Soledad Brother. It was the prison letters of George Jackson. And General George said, if you're born black and in America, he said, more than likely you will end up in prison.
That's right.
The Pew Research statistics that's done by the United States Department of Justice says that 1 in every third or 1 in 3 black males will go to prison. And so those statistics in and of itself should jar your mind. Now, why am I mentioning that? Because right now in the United States of America, we incarcerate a higher percentage of our citizenry than any other industrialized nation in the world.
Wow.
Here it is. On the one hand, we are professing to be home of the free, land of the brave. We're promoting democracy all over the world. We're criticizing other nations for their so-called human rights violation. Yet we incarcerate more people in America than the rest of the world combined, people of color. And is that an accident? Is that by happenstance, or is it by design? So what I want to say is that while we're having these discussions, we can't be so callous. We can't be so numb. We can't become so desensitized and think that that's happening to someone else. No, it could happen to you in the blink of an eye. So we must be concerned when it comes to those of our brothers and sisters from whatever circumstance find themselves incarcerated.
That's right.
When I was incarcerated, I didn't have any hope. Now, I'm telling you, I'm serving life plus 15. Understand the psychological effects that have on you. You get a paper, they call it a timesheet in the Tennessee Department of Corrections, and it has your release eligibility date. I ran across one of my old timesheets as I was cleaning out the attic, and according to the number that's on there, I haven't met that date yet.
Wow.
Now, I got that sheet in the early 90s, and right now, the date on it is like 2027.
Wow.
Now, you think about the effect that it has on your psyche.
Yes.
So the feelings of hopelessness, despair, anxiety, let alone the grief you feel for whatever it is that brought you there. Because most of us, Miss King, you know this, we're not hardened criminals. We're not cold. We fell victim to what they would call crimes of passion or desperation. We had fell into a circumstance and we were trying to get some money. And you were shooting up in the air and the bullet hit the wall and it killed someone, or you were running and you watched a movie and you shooting a gun sideways and it's not designed that way and the bullet goes off and kills an innocent bystander. Now you're sitting there doing 51 calendar years. Or you're 15 years old and you go to the mall and you're hanging out, you shoplifting, and you run out and a security guard chasing you. You're just trying to get away. And next thing you know, someone accidentally gets killed in a car crash. You're not a hardened criminal.
That's right, brother.
So you go in that place, you're already hurting. You're being taken away from your family, and there's no one in that facility where you are to help you cope with that which is going on. So somebody has to come and intervene and help you understand that is what you got yourself into. So the scripture says, how can they know? except they have a teacher. And
That's
how can
right.
they have a teacher except he be sent?
That's right. Woo!
I better take
Brother
a little
Kenneth
sip of
Muhammad,
water
you
on
can
that
hit
one,
it on the
sister.
head. Listen,
All praise to
I always
Allah.
say the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few, because you are absolutely right. I had no background. I was 36 years old when I went to prison, okay? And never did drugs, alcohol, anything. And all it took is someone to say that I was guilty. No evidence, nothing. But yet they gave me a 100 months. 100 months, you know, in the feds, your sentence is compensated in months. I was sitting up there thinking like 100 months, 100 months, what's 12 divided by 100? I said, wait a minute. 100
yeah.
What can I tell people to this day? I said, I tell you what, had they gave me football numbers, somebody was going to get hit in that courtroom. Because I'm telling you, your mind totally goes somewhere else when that judge gets talks about you know, your character. Then you know they always want to say what they think. Oh, you're a danger to society. You this and that. So they create this person. And then one thing that I noticed that they do in sentencing in the feds is they say, well, make sure that you get mental health services once incarcerated. But once you get incarcerated, you're absolutely right. There is no one other than, you know, you go to intake and they ask you, do you want to kill yourself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Of course, if you say, yeah, you finna be naked on some concrete.
Yeah,
So
you in
that's
the
not
world of
smart
trouble,
to
you
say.
yeah. Yeah.
But as time go on, one thing that I noticed is as far as counseling for mental health, there is absolutely no one. So while I was incarcerated, I actually found refuge in learning to understand spirituality. I started reading books like Ernest Holmes, the Bible, and things like that to find my own peace. Because to me, 100 months was a lot of time for someone that has never had any encounter with any type of system, the federal system, the criminal system, period. And then just the PTSD from pre-trial, trial, and sentencing, then being taken to custody, and then the travel going from a state facility to a federal facility. Then I got on a Fed plane, and the Fed plane had silver tape on it. So I'm praying like, Lord, let me land right when I get where I'm going. Just that trauma. It took me 2 years to find some type of peace, whereas I could sit there and focus on doing my time. So that was one thing that I struggled with, and that's one thing that I really enjoyed talking to you about as far as finding peace in the midst of a storm. Because when you're in prison, that is a storm. You know, I have a group page now for women that have husbands or significant others that are incarcerated, and I think a lot of the women don't understand the controlled environment. So, you know, when you call home, you going off, because I told you, you just never know. You can sit there and be having a great day, and 20 officers run in to your cell, and before you know it, you being strip searched because some idiot did across the whole compound, and there goes your peace. So you facing life plus 15 and going through those particular moments, where was that aha moment for you, or that moment of that did you get an epiphany to say, like, listen, I gotta find a way to find some peace while I'm here, or I'm gonna snap, or I'm gonna smack somebody, or I'm gonna end up hurting someone, or, you know, what did it take for you to get to that moment?
Well, sister, the first few years, you know, most people cope. So, you know, I got into sports and was just, you know, trying to make it through the day, you know, just trying to make it from one day to the next. But
Right.
after a while, you do, 7, 8, 9 years, and you can only play so much basketball. You can only drink so much hooch. You can only smoke so much weed. But you still wake up in the morning dealing with that time. You're still looking at that fence. You're still wondering, are you going to be able to make it back
Right.
out? And so while I was having all of those thoughts, and you pick up the phone, you're frustrated. So when you call home, it's like you're always angry about something. And
Right.
people always asking you, why you mad? And you like, why am I mad? You don't even know where I'm at. And I'm gonna tell you, that's one of the things that will make a person so angry. You haven't done nothing. Something happened way across the other side of the penitentiary, but
Right.
you getting punished for it, and the two words that we all hated was shakedown.
Woo.
Because and it's all about dehumanization.
That's
Because
right.
they strip you naked. It don't take all of that. They have enough apparatus, and they know who's who and what's what. But
That's
they
right.
do that to break you down psychologically.
Right.
So the one thing I said to myself early, that I was never going to allow anyone to take my dignity
That's
or my
right.
humanity. And I said I would hold on to that, and I would die defending that. So as I was going through the rudiments of doing time, or in the lingo we used to say, I was jailing, you know, I
Right.
was just, I was, calling my dukes, once a week. So she know I'm all right. I hadn't hurt nobody. Nobody hurt me. And she would
Right.
always say, well, baby, you just gonna have to pray. You're gonna have to pray. And I'm like, Mom, I ain't prayed in I don't know how long. I ain't bothering God, and God ain't bothering me. I want to leave it like that. So I wasn't a
Right.
religious, person like that. But I saw a brother dressed like
Okay.
me, but unlike me. And in physics, unlike attracts and like repels. So I saw the brother, and I'm just sitting back observing, and he was a Muslim brother in the Nation of Islam. And
Okay.
this brother was coming in, and he was dealing with a staff person that disliked Muslims. No, I'm gonna say it like it is. He hated Muslims,
Wow.
and he didn't want to. He was the food service director. So
Okay.
during Ramadan, he had special diets. So, but this brother
Okay.
handled this man so smoothly. When he left out, the man said, "That's the first Muslim I'm gonna be able to work with in 25 years." He said, "Man, make sure." I was his clerk. He said, "Make sure he get whatever he need." I said, "Well, okay." So I saw the brother later, and I said, "Hey, man, you impressed the food service director. This is what he said about you." And he said, "Well, thank you." And he invited me to the service.
Okay.
Now, I always got invited, and I always lied and said I was coming. I got to speak the truth, but this time I went, and the brother
Okay.
made an impression on me. And sister, and we just kind of rehashing for those who missed it. He played
Yeah.
a tape with Honorable Minister Farrakhan. And Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he was speaking, and I didn't hear nobody talk like this. And I'm not moved easily emotionally, but what the minister was saying was hitting me intellectually. It made sense.
Right.
And he made the statement that there is no human being that cannot be redeemed. And
I
I'm
love it when
sitting
you say that
there.
every time. Every time you say it, it has like this moment that makes me just be like, wow.
It's powerful because most of the time, sister, when you're in that situation, for those who want to feel or understand, it's hopelessness.
Right.
You feel like it's over with, that you're just existing. You're not living, you're existing.
That's right.
And because you don't want the worst thing that you ever done, this is speaking personally, to be what people remember you for. And here's a man telling me that I can be redeemed, that it's not too late, that there's hope for me. That got my attention. So I went back, and I wanted to hear some more good words to uplift me. And then he began speaking about self-improvement is the basis for community
Right.
development. And it was an actual step of analysis, self-examination, and then self-correction. And the operative word that's coming in those three phrases is self. It's up to you and I. It's
That's
up to
right.
those who are looking. It's not up to anybody else. It's up to us as an individual to take ownership of our lives and to transform them in a way that is pleasing to God and pleasing to us. Because if we're trying to please other people, they shift and go, they like the trends, whichever way the wind blow, that's the way people go. But you have
That's
to be
right.
true to yourself. And so once I began to do that, to analyze myself, most of us, whether we know it or not, we suffer from low self-esteem.
I don't think that a lot of people realize that, though, Minister Kenneth Muhammad. And let me tell you why. Because when you are in prison, okay, you kind of like Tyler Perry show, you got the have and have nots, the people that got it and the people
Mhm.
that don't. So the have nots have to find the group that have it, all right, whether it's one of the
Uh-huh.
organizations, whether it's a person that's really a loner, but you may just be that one particular person that they may kick it with or whatever. And in the midst of that, of them trying to find themselves because they're in the group of the have-nots. And when I say the have-nots, I mean they have no support. They don't have people sending money. They don't have anyone that they
Yes.
can call. They don't have any of that. So that's one of the
Right.
things that I think a lot of people suffer from. So with you've already been to prison. So you have a brother that's just coming in and he's a have not. What advice would you give him to help him to find himself?
Well, as you come in the door, there used to be a process where the old heads, would pull you up and kind of give you counsel and guidance,
Okay.
and help you if they saw that you were trying to just do your time. Now, it all depends on the individual. You can come in there and think you want to be about that life, but you'll realize very quick you're not about that life. It's not like
Right.
a TV movie. But if a young person was coming in, what we would do, we actually had up a particular program where we would orientate brothers to their environment. The first thing we would do, because the different gangs or the negative people, they recruit people. They aggressively go at to try to bring people into their circle so they can do whatever they do. So if you want to be good
Right.
and righteous and do your time and go home, and you want that for others, then have the same tenacity as they do. So we'll go out and we'll see a brother and ask him, where he's from, what kind of background he had, how much time you got to do if they're willing to talk about it. And I said, then how do you want to do your time? You want to do it
Right.
easy? You want to do it home? You want to be in general population, or you want to be on lockdown 23 hours a day with 1 hour to
Hold up,
use the
brother.
phone?
Wait a minute. Did you say you asked somebody how they want to do? They want to do their time 23 and
Yeah,
1.
yeah, how you want to do it? Because this is what I mean. There's
Wow.
nothing spooky. There's nothing spooky in this world, sister. This world is governed. The universe is governed by the law of cause and effect.
That's
You
right.
see, for every effect you see, something caused it. So when you go back there and the brother's on lockdown and he's at 23 and 1 and he's eating every other day and his head is all swole up, what caused that? You see? And most of the time, these young brothers, they get into some of these street organizations, and the street organizations have gotten away from their original purpose. And
Right.
and what has happened, the older generation being weeded out. Some of them have moved on, whether they left prison or they passed away because they were there so long. So they don't have the knowledge. And so the enemy, through his propaganda vehicles, these movies, these TV programs, he shows the underside of this gangster lifestyle. And so you think that's what you're supposed to do. But if you robbing on the street, you go to jail. If you robbing in prison and get caught, guess what? You go into the hole. And if you robbed the wrong person, there's consequences and repercussions. And all of those things to go on. So I asked him, man, how you want to do your time? You want to be out here where you can go to the gym, you can walk to the chow hall, you can go to visitation. I mean, maximize your experience. Don't serve time, have a time to serve you. I mean, if you want to get a job, for instance, even though the jobs pay pennies, but there are jobs that pay 10 cents an hour, there are jobs that pay 50 cents an hour. Whatever it is, I want to be the best at it. You know, I want to have the best. Wherever my environment is, I want to still be top shelf. So if you want the highest paying job, you want a skilled job, brother, then you got to get your GED. Once you get your GED, then we guide them into some of the trades. Because you know, like I know, sister, the prison is a microcosm of the macro, the society out here. So there's racism in prison. There's a caste system in prison. There's, you say, those who have and have nots. So when you look up, all the guys that got the mops and the brooms, they tend to be the brothers. Right or wrong. Exactly. They call them rock men. You cleaning the showers. You wiping the tables. You washing dishes. Huh? That's what they got for you out here, and that's what they got for you in there. Is that what you want for yourself? This is how we speak. You know, we don't sugarcoat it. We let them know how it is. But the thing we do, sister, is give them an example. See, if you can't see it, then it's hard for you to achieve it. So, as the same way I saw that brother deal with that food service director. And he was upright, he was clean, he was mannerable, he wasn't using profanity, he spoke with knowledge, he carried himself with dignity. That impressed me. And so a young person who's impressionable, I don't care where he's at, whether he's out here or he's inside, he's impressionable. Give him something to look at. That's right. See? You be sitting on the side, you know how we say, oh man, dude, soft. No, that ain't being soft. You know how hard you got to be to try to be right in a place that promote being wrong? That's gangster. That's gangster there.
And one thing that I can say that I totally agree with you about, Minister Muhammad. I was up there in the mountains, all right, in Alderson, West Virginia.
Oh my God.
And that's one thing that I came into prison and demanded from the staff was respect, because my thing was, I'm a grown woman just like you. The only difference is I have on khaki and you don't. Okay, but it could be you. So as soon as I walked into the door and I had they had what you call team, where you come in, they tell you what classes you need, what classes they want you to complete. They check to let you know what your classification is. And I told them from the very beginning, day one. And we had, for some of the women that's on here that had gone to Alderson, we had this, the unit manager, her name was Miss Altizer, and everyone was so afraid of her. And I was just like, why? She's squat just like us. She a woman just like me. And they was like, cause she's just scary. And I told her that first team, I said, when she began to talk, I said, well, let me stop you before you begin. And I looked her dead in the eye and I said, it's two things that's off limits. I said, it's talking about my case and talking about my daughter. I said, those two things are none of your business, and we won't have a discussion about it today, not ever. And she said, well, why, Ms. King? I said, because it's none of your business. The only thing that I'm here for is to do the sentence that was given to me. Other than that, you're not going to talk about things that has nothing to do with rehabilitation or anything else. And I was one of the few women that really stood up to her, even when she got mad at me and came and shook down my room. I said, 2 things gonna happen if my stuff don't get off this floor. I said, somebody gonna get smacked, and I guess that means y'all gonna take me off the compound. I said, but if you don't get your foot off my daughter's picture, me and you gonna have a problem.
Oh, wow.
So they sent somebody in and they said, Miss King, please calm down. But it's just like you said, I demanded to be treated like a human being and a woman. Because just because you are a case manager or a unit manager, that does not separate us at all. Because at the end of the day, incarceration can happen to anyone. And I think that's one of the reasons why most people go to a prison and they lose themselves, because they become afraid to speak up because you label a murderer or you label a thief, or they put these labels, you're a convicted felon. So they begin to act as the label that's put on them itself being the actual person that they are. And I refuse to allow any of them to put a label on me, to talk to me any kind of way, to treat me any kind of way, whether it was staff or whether it was one of my peers. I always maintained that respect. And the number one thing that I always did was I never wanted to cower down, hold my head down. Even if someone didn't like me, I never went another direction. I always went the direction I wanted to go. And that's one of the things that helped me to hold on to my dignity. But you have a lot of people that are afraid to do that. So that makes their time, whether it's 1 year, 20 years life, that makes their time so hard, because somewhere they're trying to find peace among their peers instead of within themselves. And I think that's one thing that also contributes to a lot of the hardship in prison, and especially with Black men and losing their manhood of who they are, because their first battle is already the color of their skin, and then to deal with another label of being convicted and sometimes having life, and then to see so many these young Black men, and not saying that other races doesn't experience, but just the statistics and the truth is that at a higher rate that our Black men are getting more time, coming in with 47 years for crimes that they should be serving 10 to 15. So they, like you say, they have no hope. So I think that in order for people to find their peace too, when you're released, you have to somehow reach back. And I understand everybody don't want to do it. You know, some people want to get out and they want to move on with their life and they want to leave that experience behind. But the greatest person that can give back is a person that understands how you feel. I will never forget that fear of when the U.S. Marshal stood behind me when Judge Jackson said 100 months. And I'm trying to calculate it in my head. And then I'm asking where my daughter is. And they put on a jacket on me and led me back out to the back. So I will never forget that feeling. So whatever, I've always promised myself, whatever I can do to come out to give a family peace, or that person, whether it's just to say it's going to be okay, or I'm going to look and find the answer for you. I've always tried to do that because I think that gives a person peace. But I just couldn't imagine. I'm just going to be real with you, brother. Life plus 15, I'm telling you right now, a couple of people would have got smacked the first day, maxed me out. Because how can I see the door with life plus 15? So it takes a strong person, whether it's a man or a woman, that takes a strong person to find peace when there doesn't seem to be an ending to that sentence. Yes. And you get what I'm saying? My end date was 2022. You know, God was so good and he was so merciful and so full of grace. You know, his divine date was June 30th, 2020. Okay. Yes. But I had a date at least. So I had some type of peace that this too shall pass and this is going to be over. But for people with life plus 15, what can we do as people that have gone through that situation, to continue to encourage those with football numbers right now have no end of day, because we both know that just because you start a sentence at a certain number, that doesn't mean that's how your story is going to end. But we got to get that person to a place of peace so they can focus to find some relief. So how can we get them there, especially you, with you have been in that situation? They come to you and they be like, look, assalamu alaikum, Minister Muhammad. I don't want to hear that though, bro, because that's how they talk. Bro, I'm facing this, ain't nobody answering my calls. Anybody that come to me, they can get it. So what do you say to
them? Sister, it's so much to unpack. And as you were speaking, I was thinking about something my wife said to me. She said it today. She said, you've come a long way. You've accomplished a lot. Because I'm my own worst critic. I always think I can do more. I'm thinking about how can I better serve the brothers. And just thinking about it. And last weekend, there was a brother who had passed away due to complications with the COVID-19 in prison.
Wow.
And we were good friends. He was my homeboy. And so his family flew him back home to Detroit, and I went up to be with his family. And there was another who had done time with us. And I told him, I said, man, we're fortunate. We were blessed to get out. I said, many did not make it. And many who made it died shortly, after getting out. It's just the reality. But what I would say, sister, that knowledge, the right kind of knowledge, is what changed my life. As I was saying, I had went to the white man's school. I had got his education. I had got his degree. But in all of those years, I didn't learn nothing about myself. So the greatest knowledge that we've learned that any man can possess is the knowledge of God and the knowledge of self. These two knowledges are really one and the same, because when you know God, you know self. When you know self, you know God.
That's right.
And so we have to ask ourselves. I would ask that young brother, I said, brother, who are you? And what is your purpose? As I said last week, there are three things, these three questions we ask ourselves. Who am I? Am I who I say I am? And am I all that I can be? You see? How do you define yourself? Are you defined by your land mass? Are you defined by your organization? I say, man, who are you? He might say, well, man, I'm Hoover Deuce. I'm BGD. I'm a vice lord. Okay, that's what you belong to. But that doesn't define who you are. Who you are is defined by the nature in which you are created. There's nothing in creation, sisters, brothers, that is mediocre. Everything that the Creator created is excellent.
Woo.
And it justifies its creation by submitting to its nature and fulfilling its destiny. So I will ask you, brother, who are you in reality? You're not an inmate. You're not a convict.
That's right.
You didn't have numbers attached to your name when you came out of your mother's womb. You were born for greatness. You say you got life. Yes, okay. But the man who gave you that time, he done ran out of time. So time is relative.
I like that right there.
Yes, this is real. Let me say, we are created to overcome difficulties. Man and woman, is created to struggle. Struggle is ordained for us. But we're to face difficulty. And if we don't face the difficulty and we run from it, then there's an erosion of our character. But when we face it, what does that mean? That means we meet it head on. We look at it. We assess it. Then we come up with some strategies. This is war. See, you got to have tactics. So now, okay, I'm sitting here with all of this time, but that's not who I am. That doesn't define me. I just got something I got to overcome. But guess what? I've already overcame greater obstacles. You say, what do you mean, Brother Kenneth? In order to come to birth, now stretch out with me. You overcame a 600 million to 1 odds. There are, at least according to scientists, 600 million sperm cells that's emitted in the vaginal tract of the female seeking the egg to impregnate it. And guess what? Only one sperm egg. And guess what sperm cell that was? That was you. That was you. You had enough fight in you before you even could think consciously to overcome 600 million to 1 odds. And you mean to tell me you're going to let this little situation punk you out? Now I got his attention. Now we can start working on some things. See?
That's right.
And once we introduce knowledge fuels him. See, self-discovery, self-knowledge. Then, he began to see himself different. What is the potential of the human being? The potential of each and every human being is to reflect God.
Wow.
I'm gonna let that sink in.
Boy, I tell you, Mr. Muhammad, every time you come, you bring it. Now, I've had a family that I've talked to, a couple of families that have loved ones that's going through the beginning phase of just getting through trial, and then trial didn't go quite the way they wanted trial to go, and they want to understand every aspect of the criminal procedure about what's next. But the first thing that I always tell them is the mental health check, because I'm a firm believer that if your mental health is not where it needs to be, then you won't be able to focus on the very next step, because you always have to have a clear mind in whatever it is that you're dealing with. Okay.
Yes.
And I found that in my experiences, when I think back from pre-trial, because pre-trial was the hardest time to me. I think pre-trial is where the PTSD actually starts. I don't care if you're acquitted or some of the counts are dismissed or what, because pre-trial, most times, you have a right to have your attorney supposed to advocate for you. But 9 times out of 10, if you're a public defender, he's 99.9% the time against you and pushing you to accept the plea agreement, which the plea agreement sentence is sometimes higher than what it would have been during trial. So what I have found, Minister Kenneth Muhammad, is this, that in going through that phase, when I look back, the thing that actually gave me peace to whatever was going to happen at trial is I felt that whatever happens, no matter how much it hurts, I know I'm going to be able to get through. I just knew that. I was like, I'm going to be able to get through it, because, whether you believe in God, no matter who you believe in, it's like you said, we're built with excellence. So I said, God had never put too much on me that I can't bear, even, when it hurts. So one thing that I found that helped me was, that's when I started learning how I started meditating on different scriptures. I started doing that meditation, being able to look within to discover who I am. Even though I didn't get to the whole really analyzing myself until 2 years after my conviction. But pre-trial made me realize there's really some things that I don't understand on why I did it, or why I react the way that I react. And I was like, either God, you're going to help me now, or I'm not going to make it through this. So during the pre-trial phase, that's when I started finding some sort of peace because things wasn't going the way that I wanted to go through trial. My attorney, I felt like he might as well have been the prosecutor.
Yes.
And then once I got sentenced and went through everything, we get into Alderson. Those first 2 years, was, I can say that's when that time was doing me, because I was so bitter as far as I can't believe that I'm here. I just had a whole child that turned 1. The doctors told me I couldn't have children. I have a child. I have to leave my child behind. I don't deserve this. I treat people right. And I had that enlightenment period where someone came to me and said, you inspire me. You get up every morning. You always dress up. You always have your hair done. You just look like you're not even doing time and it's not bothering you. And I'm just like, in the inside, I'm hurting. I got a whole child that's growing up without me. And I'm in here doing somebody else's bid. So how am I inspiring them? But I realized that I was dealing with my situation and finding some type of peace, at least from them, from their perspective, it looked like I was finding peace. So
that's how it starts.
Right. So I guess that's where analyzing myself and what it is that I was doing, but I was doing normal things to make me feel normal, to say, I'm not going to get up like this is the worst day ever. And one major thing was dealing with that staff. I'm not going to look the way that they think that I should look, because I'm a person just like you. I love my child just like you. I have family that love me just like you. So that was one of the major things that was pushing me. But someone that's dealing with a long time, or even people that have a short sentence and does not have that support, I do think that at some point that people that have been incarcerated should push, if not even legislature, just within yourself as a person that's been there before, to reach back and send some encouragement to let a person know that, hey, that you're being thought of, that you are supportive, that you are loved. Send literature in. Hey, I'm sending you this little scripture or this little passage of encouragement. Here's enough copies to put up at the front to pass out to someone else. I think that a big thing that we should address too is, once you've been released, don't forget where you came from. Now I'm gonna be for real with you, Mr. Muhammad. I haven't. Let me get in my seat good, because I know I'm gonna get some emails from this, because I got some emails when I did a post like this before. But I have a problem with people that talk a good game when you locked up. You have a whole plan. I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna do this. I ain't gonna forget what I went through. I know how it feels. And then 6 months later, you out. You don't want to hear nothing about prison. You don't want to like a post. You don't want to do nothing. You just want to forget it and just move on. I'm gonna tell you, I have cut off some people for that reason. Not people that it's just not that thing. You have some people, it's just not them. But people that hypocritical and look back and everybody a convict and you a convict too. I don't care, this and that. Those people I can't associate myself with, because at the end of the day, those people that we left behind, we are still those people because we were once in their position. So how can you not reach back? Even if you don't want to push prison reform, okay? If you just put up something to even just have a conversation with people to say, this should not be going on. These laws are really not fair. Or, just something, instead of being the person to down where you came from, I can't respect that. And I had a lot of backlash for a post that I put up when I said that I wanted to disassociate myself with people that were ashamed of the fact that they done time. Because if you look at me, if I didn't tell my story, a lot of people be like, I can't believe you went to prison. Yeah, I did 5 years. And it may not seem like a lot to people that's done 10, 15 to 20. But hey, that was a lifetime for me. But that was a time that I was able to see that prison is really not about rehabilitation. And I even shared with one of the sisters today, in my group 13 Liberation Prison Wives Club. She was saying, well, you know, he has a lot of time, so they don't let him enroll in programs. I said, sis, create a program for him. Send him a book talking about CDS and see if that's something that he'll be interested in. And then he can create his own trade, because that's something that I had to do. I had 8 years, and that's not a long time to a lot of people, but at Alderson, that's a long time, because you have people coming in for 18 months, 10 months. So I always get pushed to the back. So what I did was I had family members to send me this book. Here's the ISBN number. And I took time and learned all criminal procedure, federal law, 2255s, post-conviction. I stay up at night, have my little light up like it's a lamp, 2 of them up. And I'm up all night really reading it. And when it came time to be released, I gave them a list of every class that and every course that I completed on my own, because I feel like you can find peace too when you reach down to find your passion as well. And I realized that I've always known that I like working with people, but I realized that criminal law is my passion. To see people hear people say, you know, I just don't know what else to do. Hold on, brother Kenneth to be back. But anyway, all right, there you go, brother Kenneth. But to hear people say, I didn't know what to do, but you explain it so well, I get it. That gave me peace. And I was so busy helping people go home, I forgot about myself. And I heard the girl across the street say, get home to your family. You got a daughter. You need to get yourself out. You're getting everybody out. But that's what helped me to find my peace. Okay?
That's the key, sister. That's the key. You know, when I got involved with the Nation of Islam Prison Reform Ministry, it allowed me to become a part of something bigger than myself. And I felt like when the light came on, and it was through studying and reading the teachings and following the guidance of Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I said, wow, if it could change me, I know it could work wonders on some of you guys. So I began doing everything I could just to share the information I was studying. I said, well, brother, you may not have money to get books. I said, but I'll make a deal with you. I'll buy the book, read it, and study it. If you come to the class, I'll tell you everything that's in the book. And we just started with that, sister. Once we understood that our environment needs to be more holistic. Sometimes an individual just needs to know that you care. They don't care how much you know until they know that you care.
That's right.
So we just showed them that we cared for them, that we filled in the gaps, that we honestly offered them genuine love and brotherhood. And as you talks about reaching back, that's always been a problem. But what we're taught is, you know, word is bond, and bond is life. Right. And I give my life before I let my word fail. And I gave my word that if I was ever to be released, that I would take this word and this message and tell my story in every nook and cranny on the entire planet. And so that's, you know, through StreamYard, these kind of platforms, people are able to see and hear what we're talking about. Now, while you in there, what can you do? You in there right now, you're sitting down, you get 45 at 100. That means you got to do all of it. You get 15% off, so you're doing a minimum of 85. The first thing I would suggest, find something that will make you passionate about getting up the next day.
Ooh, I like that.
Drinking not gonna do it. Banging ain't gonna do it. Hustling ain't gonna do it. Something got to motivate you from the inside to help you deal with your situation. And once you find your passion, then man, grab hold on to it and never let it go. The scripture said, he who would be great or chief among you, let them serve. So find a way to serve. You know, it's funny how guys in Tricor, and I forgot what you all called it in the Fed, but those industry jobs. They
Yeah,
can have
unicorn. That's
jobs.
what they call in the Fed.
Okay, unicorn. Yes, thank you. And they're making goods and products, providing services to people out here.
That's right.
But then when they get out, they can't get the same job. They holding that job down, not missing a day, making pennies on the dollar. And then when they get out, you say they can't do that same job that they've done the last 5, 10, 15 years.
Right.
See, we got to call it like it is. And again, that's why your platform is so important. You know, we got to pull the cover off of it. We got to stop the game plan. Prison isn't about rehabilitation, it's about money. Why do they call it the prison industrial complex? The only other thing that's like it is the military industrial complex. Right. Look at what prison does. Look at the location. They build them in rural areas to provide jobs and industry and economy for those communities. They bring in jobs. Think about it. They don't allow your family to send in certain things. You have to buy it from the commissary. Everything's marked up 300, 400, 500%. That's industry. You see, you got people that's selling goods and services to inmates, marking that stuff up. Because guess what? You got nothing else, nowhere else to shop, so you're forced to buy it. Right. Out here, we call that a monopoly. In there, they just tell you that's what it is. Exactly. You work all month, 30 days to get paid. They call it state draw. Everybody's excited whenever they post it. But guess what? Yeah. They found a way how to trick you out of. They call it court costs and fines.
Right. And, so listen, brother, when you say they take that money back, in the feds, that restitution and those fines are almost 100%. Okay, I know unheard of, but if I get in $1,000, they take that $1,000 and divide it by 6, and those are my monthly payments. I was paying almost $400 a month. So then that's the Fed draw. When I was working at $45 a month, it was going toward my restitution and counting as wages. Whereas when I got out, I was paying 300% less, which is crazy. But I wanted to say one thing that I saw one of the viewers post. She said that when you help others, God will take care of you. I like that. I want you to elaborate on that.
I mean, that's the facts. Whoever said that, that's facts, because you know, we've done wrong. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan doing the Million Man March, and that was the phrase that we all know about, but it was actually a holy day of atonement, reconciliation, and responsibility. And during that particular day, that Holy Day of Atonement, he introduced an atonement process, 8 steps of atonement, that if one would follow that, then that would help create a peace with oneself and those in their environment. You know, the first step is someone would have to point out the wrong, you know, and don't nobody want to be told that they're wrong. So the second piece is probably most critical. You got to acknowledge the wrong. Once you acknowledge the wrong, then you have to repent. You see, you know, you confess, then you repent. You confess your fault to God, and you may confess it to the person that you aggrieved. Then you repent. And then that 5th step is to atone, to make amends, to actually do something. Don't just say you're sorry. That's not doing anything. You have to actively engage in that and earn a person's forgiveness. And when you go about earning it, it's like the scripture says, for every good deed you do, it erases away 10 evil ones. And so many of us have done a lot of wrong. So we have to put some good into the world. That's the principle of what we would call charity. It's not the money that you come out of your pocket. Anybody that got money can give, but are you really giving of yourself? And so once you do that, and then you atone, then forgiveness can come.
Wow.
And then after forgiveness can come, then there's reconciliation, and then there's a perfect union with your creator. But the hardest thing about forgiveness that I've found is to forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to one day forgive yourself. You cannot continue to punish yourself for that indiscretion. Once you went through that process, once you asked your creator, and your creator has shown you he allows you to wake up the next day, that means you got something to do. There's many of us who will go to bed tonight that's not going to wake up. So man goes to sleep at night, and the scripture says that at night that God takes man's soul. Some he gives back, some he keeps. And the ones of us who have our soul given back to us, that means we still have work to do. And so once we get about the business of doing the work, then we align ourselves with the universal order of things. We're not acting contrary. Again, you're righteous by nature, everything else by circumstance. And I can prove it in no limit of time, because if I ask you, sister, tell me all the good things you've done for other people, you can't remember. How many times have you or anybody that's listening, someone came to you, hey, you remember when you said this to me? That really helped me. That inspired me.
Yeah.
You remember when you did this? And you saying in your mind, who is this person? You can't remember the good, but every little nasty, low down, sneaky, conniving thing
they remember everything.
The child, it left a stain on your brain. You can remember it just because the brain is created to think rightly. And every time we go against the grain, then we go against our nature. And again, our nature is defined by the who created us, excuse me. And we were created to reflect God. And see, once you stop seeing yourself as some little boy, little girl, some little Negro, colored boy, African American, something real small, and then see yourself created in the image and likeness of God, that automatically throw your shoulders back, make you feel good. Now you can say it, that's good. But now how do you become it? That's even better.
Brother Minister Kenneth Muhammad, you brought it as usual. So that means you coming back again on our next we can do a part 3, because I think as God give it to you, if we can help one person, I think that that we've done what we're supposed to do. And you and I spoke about that last night, about how certain things and the message and the positivity of things are not founded on how many likes you get or how many people may actually, pat you on the back. If one person is helped, we've done our job, brother. And I while you was talking, and I'm gonna close out, I was reminded of someone that's very close to me that this was one of the first things that I loved about him. He shared with me how he took a life at one point, about 7, 8 years ago. And some people have no remorse for the things they have done, especially when it comes to taking a life. And he always said, I had no right to take his life. So what I do in exchange for that, and it goes back to what you said, Minister Farrakhan said about being redeemed. He said it's to do good, even though it's here. And I just enjoy hearing about the positive things that he's done, even when it took putting his own personal life on the line to save a life. He saved a life twice. And both times it could have cost him his life. But that's his redemption, okay?
Right.
As far as putting my life on the line to be forgiven for taking a life. And to me, that's a big step toward finding peace in the midst of the storm. And I feel that when you start finding peace in the midst of the storm, God can start making a way for you to get out of this storm. So I really enjoyed you, Minister Muhammad. You know, I want to first tell your wife, Miss Kenneth Muhammad, thank you so much for allowing us to have access to your husband, because it takes a strong, good woman to stand behind her husband when he gives of himself as a leader to those that need you. So I want to first take this time, because I didn't the last time, to tell her thank you for allowing you and supporting you to give back to us and to give back to those that need it. And I want to tell people, you know, wherever you are, that while you're listening to these two different streams, to find your peace. And if you feel like that you don't know where to start finding your peace, you know, I feel like whether you believe in God, the universe, no matter what you believe in, you can find that still moment, because you always get and well, at least where I was, the lights go out at 10. Sooner or later it gets quiet, and I will always use that quiet moment to have that time to myself to say, what is it that I really need to be doing? Because it's like Sister Brenda said that post. I like what she said. When you do what God wants you to do, He's gonna help you. When I took my eyes off me and my 100 months and what I was doing, and started dedicating my time to other people and being a support to them, let me tell you something, Minister Muhammad. Everything was getting denied at first. God started expanding my knowledge of criminal procedure. And the most important thing is He gave me favor not only among my peers, but with the staff, because during the COVID-19 pandemic, they passed out little sheets to nominate the best leader in a unit. So when they you know, I won, and I said, man, it was like, we look to you to give us the answers and to be our voice and to speak up. And all I know I'm doing is my passion. I'm speaking on what I believe. I'm maintaining who I am. I don't want to lose myself just because I got on khakis and they gave me a number. That's all I knew. And I was doing what I had to do to find peace, because my thought was, when I get home, if I don't owe anybody anything, I owe my child that I left behind enough to come home and be whole for her. So I said, in order to be whole, I have to find peace so I can have my peace of mind. My spirit is in order, so I can teach her that even if you're not guilty of this, there's still some mistakes that you have made. So I wanted to be able to be whole to do that for her. So that's how I found my peace. And y'all, we're gonna come back with part 3. We didn't mean to go over the hour, but you know, when the Spirit speaks, we let him speak. Mr. Kenneth Muhammad, you are touching lives. Every time you come on, I get an overwhelming amount of emails. And I want to apologize, you guys. I am doing the best I can to continue to make sure that the streams are public. I'm still learning. I'm still learning. So I paused for a minute to go on to make sure it was public. So, but the next time that we come back in 2 weeks, we're gonna make sure all the glitches are fixed, because I know that you have a lot of people that love to hear you. You are inspiring and you are encouraging those. So thank you all for taking the time to just listen to us. And I hope you know that everyone that came on has been encouraged. So we will be back in 2 weeks with part 3 of finding your peace in the midst of the storm. So you all make sure, if you haven't liked 13 Liberation Village, that you go in and like the group page. We also have our brand new group, 13 Liberation Prison Wives Club, and that just serves as a support, because one thing we also want to focus on too, Minister Kenneth Muhammad, is keeping marriages together to women that have husbands or have significant others that are in prison. We want to be able to encourage them and to give them guidance so they'll be able to be a support and hold their husbands up. So we also have that group as well. So you guys just keep on looking out, supporting us, liking, sharing the post, and we'll be back in 2 weeks to give you our part 3. So is there any last words, Minister Kenneth Muhammad, before we close out?
Sister, I just want to say thank you. And to anybody that's out there that's going through something, just stay strong. It won't last forever. God got something for you too. Thank you for listening. I leave as I came in peace. Assalamu alaikum.